Okay guys, so welcome back. In today's video we're actually going to do our best to do a tier list, right, and talk about like every special move in this game, and just to give you an idea of how strong they are and where they would land on a tier list. All right, now I know that tier lists can be very controversial, and a lot of times it comes down to like a person's subjective feelings, right? Or but what we're going to do is we're going to try our best to be objective, right? We're going to talk about this from the outside looking in. I know that some of it is going to be a little bit personal and how I personally feel about it, but we'll do our best just to be objective about it. All right, so the first we're going to do, all right, so this is how we're going to do our list. All right, we're going to do pickup, which is the highest priority, right? These are pretty much meta special strikes, right? And pretty much if you land in a game and you see these, you just need to pick them up. All right, if you pass them, you're just being a crazy person. All right, under that we're going to have mid tiers. All right, we're going to have capable, right? And these aren't terrible, they just require a little bit more work, and they get beat out a lot by the higher tier moves. All right, apart from that, not just that they get beat out, is that they can require you to put in a little bit more work to actually be able to win a game with them. All right, especially if you're playing against competent players. And then last we're going to have not good. All right, and not good is really about the special moves that when you get to end game they are pretty useless, right? But some of them are situational, and what I'll do is I'll try my best to go over everything and explain exactly why I put each one of these here. All right, so before you get in the comment section, and don't chew me out, let's just have a conversation about it. All right, let me know what you think about my tier list at the end, and let me know if you agree with me or you disagree with me, but listen to my argument first and then we'll have a conversation. All right, so the first special move that we're going to put at the top of pickup, and this is number one, we're going to list them from left to right. All right, this is number one. It's going to be the javelin tackle. All right, and this is very self-explanatory. If you play the game, you know why this move is strong, possibly overpowered as well. And it's because like it does crazy damage. That's the number one thing. And it has an insane magnetism to it. All right, because we all know how tracking works in this game. As long as you're fighting a person or a person is in your vicinity, like really close to you in like combat range, you are going to be locked onto that person. All right, and at any point if you do your javelin tackle, if they don't dodge or break the tracking in some way or attack you while you're doing it, they're pretty much going to get hit. And if they get hit, like, it always sucks to see how much damage you lose. All right, I think it does like over 300 on base damage, and it does over 500 when you're above level 5 arm protein. And if you get hit off a building with this, depending on how high the building is, or if you bounce in an object while falling from the building, you're looking at about 700 to 1000 damage. All right, and that's basically one shot. It has a really weird startup. Sometimes it is reactable. All right, but depending on the range they use it, it can make it weird, and depending on like how your internet connection is, it can also be weird, especially if the other person might be laggy as well, because they can do it from really far out, which gives it a deceptive range sometimes, because if they do it really close you can't react to it. If they do it from far out, it's kind of weird because they're basically going to teleport towards you. All right, and that shit is weird and it's really hard to deal with sometimes. So the javelin tackle is definitely number one on this list. All right, Number 2 is definitely going to be Diamond Crusher, alright? And Diamond Crusher is another very strong skill in this game, or a special move. And it has a pretty fast startup, I would say. It is actually a decent skill to use. And like I said, if you... Basically, the point is this. If you don't have the Javelin Tackle, you should use Diamond Crusher, alright? Because it does insane damage, just the same as a Javelin Tackle. The only reason why this is not number 1 is because it doesn't have the weird startup, and it doesn't have the teleporting crazy stuff that the Javelin Tackle has, alright? You can react to this, and it is highly punishable on a whiff, alright? You can even like jump and do it in the air. That's kind of hard to deal with sometimes. So Diamond Crusher is definitely number 2. There's not a lot to say about it though. It's just that it's insane. It has a guaranteed follow-up at the end, and if you're not using Diamond Crusher, trust me, you're missing out a lot. Alright, so number 3 is definitely going to be the Omega Cyclone. Alright, now there are 3 variations of the Cyclone. You have it from green to blue to purple. The other 2 aren't as good as the purple one, because the purple one has a really... I think it has a larger AoE, and sometimes it feels like you get sucked into it. Alright, the others don't have that. And I believe that if you spin, this actually lasts a little bit longer. The Omega Cyclone is extremely good because basically the current strat that most people use in this game is they tend to use their special strike and then they dodge. Alright, if you have the Cyclone, it beats all of that. Alright, people also have some really cheesy gameplay, like if they would use the mist, the poison mist, they would jump and use it, and the Cyclone beats every jumping attack. It beats every jumping attack. It clashes with other strikes. Alright, and basically, like I said, the current strat is people tend to dodge after they do unsafe stuff, and the Cyclone beats all of that. That's the crazy part. The next thing is, if you combo into this, like if you get it fully charged, you're going to mess people up. Alright, and it also bursts your stamina because it does a shit ton of stamina damage. Alright, and when you do that, that's basically a free follow-up combo. So the Cyclone, it's pretty much the best strike in the game in my opinion. The only reason it is not at number 1 is because it doesn't have the crazy stuff like the other things, and it also don't have the crazy teleporting stuff like the other things. Alright, what makes the Cyclone so good is, like I said, it's the range, it's the AoE, it's the suck-in effect, and you can also dodge cancel this, and that's extremely good. So when you're using the Cyclone, it's definitely mind games. Alright, when you're fighting someone else, it's mind games, and it beats out every cheesy stuff that people try to do. Alright, so that's the Cyclone in a nutshell. Alright, so the next thing on the list is the Sumo Slaps. Alright, the Sumo Slaps is a crazy move, guys, and trust me, if you're not using this, you are just... it's straight up insane. Alright, the Sumo Slaps, it is chargeable, and it doesn't do the most damage, but it has crazy stamina damage. And that's the thing with a lot of the elements in this game is you use certain weapons, you use certain skills, and the thing is, once you understand how they works, that definitely changes your game plan entirely. Alright, if you're using the Sumo Slaps, you're definitely going for stamina breaks. Alright, because that's where it excels, and when you go for stamina breaks, you basically get a free combo. Alright, especially like the game is like this where people are constantly attacking. When you clash with people, it builds superstar, and I believe it uses more stamina when you clash. Alright, and people tend to clash a lot with basic strikes, they clash a lot with special strikes, and the Sumo Slaps, trust me, when you get a hit on this, it wall splats, it breaks stamina, you get free follow-up combos. If you have certain perks like sadistic, you get back your health immediately, and there's just like infinite potential when you're using Sumo Slaps. The only reason I don't put it above the Omega Cyclone is that it doesn't have that crazy AoE stuff that the Cyclone has. Alright, and it's a very direct attack. All right, you have to direct it at your enemies, and if you whiff, you can, yes, dodge cancel it, but if you're going up against more competent players, they will be able to punish you because they know how to punish people who try to dodge cancel and stuff like that. All right, but like I said, the Sumo Slaps, when you hit people, it's very rewarding, and you only benefit from this. All right, if you're fighting against like less competent players, you're definitely going to be winning fights for free, 100%. All right, so that's the Sumo Slaps. The next special move we're going to talk about is the Dolphin Dive, and the Dolphin Dive is a item that you should pick up, but it is a item that requires a little higher skill level when you're playing this game. All right, if you have no confidence using the Dolphin Dive, you shouldn't pick it up. All right, it's probably trash to you, but if you know that you're a competent player, you should definitely pick up the Dolphin Dive every time you see it. If you can't find like a Cyclone or a Sumo Slap or something like an Uppercut. All right, the Dolphin Dive, as long as your opponent is not blocking, all right, or even if you trick them to attack you with basic attacks, the Dolphin Dive will beat that, and that's a free combo, and it's a free insane combo. All right, because the Dolphin Dive is a launcher and it launches you into something else. All right, and we're talking about javelin tackles, we're talking about diamond crushers, we're talking about cyclones, we're talking about uppercuts. And if you know how crazy those other attacks are with their damage output, the Dolphin Dive is definitely one of the most overpowered things you'll ever use. All right, the best thing about it is you can dodge cancel it, and it's not that easy to punish, especially because when you do dodge cancels, you try to read your opponent where they can reach, right? Or most of the times when you use it, people tend to dodge behind you, where they would dodge towards you and go through your character and go behind you. And then if you attack, you go forward, they do the Dolphin Dive again, and you get launched for a free combo. It is definitely a weird looking attack, and it's definitely hard to deal with sometimes, especially for like less competent players. But if you fight like really competent players who use this, trust me, it is a problem. All right, the Dolphin Dive is really insane, and if you aren't using it, you're crazy. If you don't know how to use it, learn to use it, please. Okay, so the last thing we're going to put in pickup is the Omega Uppercut. All right, now the Omega Uppercut is a really tricky one, and this is the reason why I put it last on the pickup list. All right, it is a really high priority special move because it beats weapons. All right, it beats weapons except folding chairs. Nothing beats folding chairs. But you know that weapons are the third highest priority in the game, right? And above that you have I think it's special moves. No, it's called power moves. All right, and when you see high priority and uppercut, it's basically in aquamarine looking color, and that means it's a power move, so it beats weapons. And so far with the current meta in this game, apart from javelin tackles and so on, people use a lot of weapons, right? Because when you get to higher lobbies with your MMR or whatever, and you start fighting against like more skilled players, you're going to find out that they use weapons a lot. They use folding chairs, they use bats, they use planks, they use lawn chairs, and basically you're free if they use weapons on you. All right, with the Omega Uppercut though, you can basically stop their advances with that. All right, the only reason I put it at the last on the pickup list is because it is very unsafe. All right, so far people use it in a 50-50 mindset, meaning they bait you to press buttons and then they do it. But the thing is, if it gets blocked, you're going to be free, and that's the problem with this. All right, it's definitely good. It's one of the best special strikes in the game, but it comes on to a lot of discipline, and you really need to be careful when you use it. All right, so there are some insane combos that you can do with the Omega Uppercut. Like I said, it launches you just at the Diamond Crusher, not the Diamond, just at the Dolphin Dive, and you can combo into something else. But you definitely need to be really careful when you use it, because like I said, guys, if you whiff it or if it's blocked, you are going to get a full combo. All right. So that's the Omega Uppercut in a nutshell. Okay, so the first special move we're going to put in capable is the Vicious Mist. And like I said, these moves aren't terrible. They just require you to put in a little bit more work and a little bit more effort to actually win games with them. All right. Now, in the beginning, when the game just came out, people had a problem with Vicious Mist because you can't block it. It's really fast on startup. It's really highly punishable though, right? But if you get hit by it, it opens you up for a free combo. All right, so basically if someone is using Vicious Mist, you can't block. That's basically what this is all about. The thing though, people had a hard time dealing with it earlier, but as people got more competent at the game, the Vicious Mist isn't that much of a problem anymore, because you can just do it raw. All right, because what people tend to do is, if they realize that you have Vicious Mist, they do their special strike, they dodge cancel. If you try to attack them, they are going to attack you back, right? Because when they dodge, they can attack you, and if you use your Vicious Mist, they are going to beat you on strike priority. All right, so what happens is people tend to use a really cheesy strat where they jump and do it, but that's highly risky as well, because if you're fighting against someone who has the Cyclone or the Uppercut, trust me, like, you are going to get destroyed. And it comes on to like higher level reads and mind games. All right, because if you decide to even jump and then say, oh, you're not going to do your Vicious Mist, you're going to wait, you're going to block, they might jump and do their vicious attack. All right, so it does require a little bit more work. Like I said, it's really good and I would put it in pickup, but it, like I said, it's just depending on who you're fighting. If you're fighting against like less competent players, you're free. If you're fighting against more competent players, you're going to have a hard time using the Vicious Mist. All right, so the next thing we're going to add to the list is the Cosmo Shot. All right, now the Cosmo Shot can be stronger and more capable if you're at the edge of the map next to the water, and it's really good in that case, right? I would probably put it in pickup at the top, but the thing is, most circles don't end at the edge of the map. All right, and the thing is, there's a much better skill to use than the Cosmo Shot, right? We'll get to that soon. The thing is, the Cosmo Shot is something that you have to be facing the direction where you're going to kick them. All right, whereas the other one, you can control where you're throwing them. All right, now the Cosmo Shot, most people, how they use it is, especially like if they're not next to the ocean, they tend to just kick you, and in the end game they kick you it at higher arm powers. It does like maybe 400. They kick you in the storm, they hope that your timer runs out, things like that, right? But the thing is, if you're fighting against someone who knows what they're doing, you're probably not going to really win them with this. All right, unless you're doing the more advanced stuff. More advanced stuff meaning you kick them and then, you know, you go up, you kick them again, and then you would go into either your super or you would go into your regular vicious attack. Those are a little bit more advanced combos. Or you can kick them and then you can dodge cancel and then do the other combos, let's say like a Cyclone or an Uppercut or something like that, right? The thing is, people don't use it like that. They don't go for the advanced stuff. Currently, they just use it where they kick you and they kick you away. And in end game, they hope to kick you into the sea, or they hope to kick you in the storm and your timer runs out to DQ you. So people aren't really using it to its full potential. But for those who are, even if they're using it at its full potential, it does require a few special conditions to actually make it better. All right, so the first one would be you need to get the perk, I believe it's called Headbuster. That would be where your vicious attack gets upgraded. All right, and it does more damage. That's one way where it would be really effective if you're doing that advanced combo. All right, and then the other would simply be that you need to have your super. All right, most of the times those are special conditions. The perks are RNG. You don't know what you're going to get. All right, you can always have your super, yes, but if you waste your super and then the other person, you only do it once, right? Imagine, like, God forbid, they have a lot of core powder where they have a lot of HP, they survive, they get back their health, and then you're just going to have a problem, right? Because you won't have your super anymore. So the Cosmo shot is a really effective move, but it does require a little bit more work because it does require additional stuff for it to actually be used at its full potential. All right, okay, so the next thing we're going to put on the list is the punchline. All right, now the punchline is pretty much one of my favorite moves earlier when I started playing the game. Right, it has really high damage, right? I think it does like 250 off base punchline. The thing is, it's a really slow move, right? And the only way you really get to do anything with this is if you have something else to open up your opponent, right? Because you have to open them up first before you can use the punchline. The only other thing that I see people do is they tend to trade with you on basic attacks, and then they bait you to do a basic attack or a vicious attack, then they do their punchline. All right, that's a good way to do it sometimes, but not everyone is that impatient. All right, there are really patient players. I love it because it wall splats you, right? And you can basically go into another punchline again. But like I said, the punchline it's really slow. You can dodge cancel it, but when you're fighting against like better players, they read your dodge cancel. You are going to get punished for it, and it is a really strong move. I will emphasize that, but it does require a little bit more work. You need to open them up. You need to do a ton of stuff to actually get this punch to work. All right, guys, so that's the punchline. Next we have the Izuna drop. Now the Izuna drop it has one of the best visuals as a special move. The only problem with it is that it is a little underwhelming. All right, because you can be stacked on arm powders, but your damage is still going to be like not as great as if you were using a javelin tackle or a diamond crusher. All right, that's my only problem with it. It feels a little underwhelming. Now I have to give it that the best way to get your damage off this is if you do it off a building or if you bounce off a bounceable surface. All right, but most of the time in your fights, those things are very conditional, and you probably won't ever be near a car or, and I don't, one of the next problem is that when you grab someone, I don't think you can control where you're going to bounce them, right? I've used it before, and I don't feel like I can control where I want the bounce to go, right? Like if I jump with them, I can't control where I want to land, and that is a part of the reason why it feels so underwhelming. It is effective, but it does require you to work a little bit harder to actually win with the Izuna drop, and that's my only problem with it. All right, and that's why I put it here in capable. All right. Okay, so the last thing we're going to add to capable is the choke slam. All right, now the choke slam it's really fun. I have to put that out there. When you use it, it's really fun to use. All right, I like seeing the animation. I like bouncing off vehicles and watch me like choke slamming someone to death and drop them on their back, right? The only problem with the choke slam is that it is another underwhelming move when it comes down to damage. But that's the thing, we use these items and we think they are just for one reason, right? But this might be a hidden gem in the rough that people haven't really experimented with yet, right? Because I have to admit, I don't use it a lot, but the thing is, when I use it or when I observe people use it, it is crazy because it does a lot of stamina damage. All right, now let's look at the Sumo Slaps, for example. The Sumo Slaps isn't the best for damage, but it breaks stamina. All right, and also the folding chairs, it doesn't do the most damage. It's not the best DPS weapon, but it breaks stamina, and if it breaks stamina, that opens you up for a shit ton of damage. All right, so the choke slam, I only have it here because I don't fully understand it yet. All right, but I've used it, and trust me, it breaks stamina over and over again, especially if the other person you're fighting against is actually careless with how they use their stamina. But like I said, the choke slam, it's very capable. Don't look at the damage. It is a diamond in the rough. There is a lot of potential, but we just need to unlock it. That's the only thing. All right, so that was a choke slam. Okay, so now we're going to look at not good. All right, and in this tier is, I would say that these are pretty much bad skills. All right, and when it comes down to like end game and winning a game, trust me, like if you're not lucky, you're probably not going to win if the other person knows what they're doing. All right, and we're going to start with skyrocket. I see people use this a lot, but in end game I don't see how this helps people. All right, the only thing they do, they launch to high ground. But let's say we are down to like a 1v1 scenario. Most of the time, what people use skyrocket to do, they launch in the air and they tend to go for elbow drops. All right, especially if they have like aerodynamics or something like that. They try to get like crazy damage off elbow drops. But the thing is, you waste a lot of stamina to go that high in the air, and when you fall, you lose stamina again, right? So if you get attacked, they're going to break your stamina and you're free. All right, I see a lot of people use the skyrocket, but like I said, my personal feelings and objectively, the skyrocket seems to me like it's used to either run away or take high ground. It doesn't really have that much uses apart from that. All right, because if you're fighting someone in a 1v1, there's no way you're going to win with this. People only go in the air, they do elbow drops, or they, if you aren't looking up, like say it's not a 1v1 and you're fighting other people, they tend to drop and try and trick you up and grab you with a vicious attack or something. But the thing is, if you're fighting against someone who knows what they're doing and who understands what you're trying to do, you're not going to win with this, and that's just facts. All right, but that was a skyrocket. All right, the next thing we're going to add to the list is the super kick. All right, now the super kick, to be honest, it's just not that good, right? People tend to use it like a basic attack, but basic attacks are much better than the super kick, especially if you unlock something like Woo, the perk Woo, or Bombastic. All right, I don't see why you would go for the super kick. Now granted, the super kick is good because it does like a base damage, like if you're punishing someone, and if you get a wall splat, you have to like fully charge it to get the most out of it, right? But when it comes down to like using the super kick in endgame, there's like, if you're fighting against people who understand the move, like it's very underwhelming. It's not that good, and you won't get a lot from it, right? So there are a lot of better options than the super kick. So don't take this to the end game, right? Use it in early game. It's probably okay in early game. It's good in early game, but don't use it in end game. That's the thing. The next thing we're going to look at now on this list is bad breath. Now, bad breath is a poison. It's a higher variation of vicious miss, but vicious miss is just way better than this one. All right, because this one, if it was a vicious attack, I would understand. That would actually put it up in capable, but it's not a vicious attack. It's a regular attack, right? And it can be blocked. Now I see people walk around and they charge it and spray it everywhere, but I think that takes like a shit ton of stamina. I don't know why you would do that. And for going for a win in endgame with this, I don't see how you're going to do that. I might be wrong though, because the truth of the fact is that I don't use it. I never use it. It's very underwhelming. I understand like poisoning people is fun, like it takes out health and whatever, but I don't know. If it was a vicious attack, it would be, I don't know, better, but it's not. Alright, that's the bad breath. Alright, so the last thing we're going to talk about on the list is Giant Swing. Now, where does Giant Swing go? A lot of you guys probably think that I'm going to put it in not good, right? And if that's what you thought, then you are absolutely right. It's not good. Alright, now granted, let me explain what I mean by that. Alright, it's a very conditional skill. Alright guys, it requires certain conditions to actually be overpowered. So you know that what I'm going to say is, if the circle ends on the edge of the map and there is the lake there, then this is by all means the best ability to have. All right, but if it's not and it ends in the city, you're not going to win with this. All right, and that's just facts. What I see most people do is they tend to like, and these are people who play with the mindset to DQ people. They try to disqualify you. All right, they tend to throw you in the storm and they try and keep you in the storm. All right, whereas if you're fighting against, if the circle has probably like say 10 or 5 people in it, the last circle, chances are you aren't going to do that. All right, if it comes down to a 1v1, maybe, if you have items to throw at them in the storm. All right, but if you don't have all of that condition, you aren't going to DQ them. All right, and then you're going to have a problem, because as long as people realize that that is your game plan, you are going to have a problem, because now you have to fight them regularly with fundamentals, right? Because you don't have a proper vicious attack. And then if you don't have a woo, if you don't have bombastic, it's going to be much harder to kill them, right? So the Giant Swing, if it ends in the city, it's not a good skill to have, right? But if it ends at the end of the map, it is the best skill to have. All right, that should be like, everyone should know that that's what I was going about. All right, but like I said, the most people I see who use this, they tend to try and disqualify you. That's their only game plan. They don't have anything else, because it doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't combo, right? You have to do like a basic combos and then grab them, because if you just grab them and throw them in the wall, it's going to make them invincible. You can't combo it. The only thing you can go for is a elbow drop, and that's only if they're close to you, where usually this throws them really far away. All right, but like I said, that's basically my tier list, guys. If there's anything you would like to talk about or have a conversation about, if I was wrong about anything, let me know. If you enjoyed it, give this video a like, subscribe, and have a great day.